coming in at number 9 in my soap opera rankings for August 2022 is Days of Our Lives. And I haven't gotten a chance to talk about the move to Peacock that is coming. I saw a lot of people worried that this means they're going to be able to easily cancel Days in the future with it being on Peacock. And that could be a possibility. But the worst part of it is that it's kind of coming into Peacock limping. It's not been a good year for the show creatively, thanks to Ron and company. And I think that could cause it to not have the momentum it needs with the move to Peacock. However, I see a lot of positives to this move because streaming is the future. People keep saying this. This is just facts. We see all the broadcast channels making these kinds of moves. They're really trying to get their streaming services to be the end-all, be-all for them. And really, all that's left on broadcast television that does well is sports. And even a lot of sports, a lot of the soccer is just on streaming now. We saw Apple buy the MLS to have the rights to the vast majority of the MLS games going forward. So the move to Peacock is not that dire in my opinion. I think it could actually bring a lot of great things. I've seen speculations that we'll get past episodes from a long time ago. That doesn't seem likely, at least not right now. But I hope that is the case because the fact that these streaming sites haven't tapped into the old soap operas shocks me. Because soap opera fan bases are very, very loyal. I also think the move to Peacock can be great because it can lead to Days to be more edgy. Now, is the show going to be able to be more edgy with keeping Ron as the writer? No, Ron writes everything as a joke. And I think that is just the bad thing for Days, is that Ron is still at the helm of the show. And yes, I enjoy his Beyond Salem, but still, most of his stories are just not well written enough. And I think Days, it would be so great if Days could get some new blood at writing that would make the show edgy with its move to streaming, because that's what does well in this day and age is edgy shit. But Ron's not going to be the guy to be able to do that for Days. Hate to break it to them. Let's talk about the show and why it's in 9th place, almost last place. That is because the writing remains weak, and I still don't think most of the stories are working. We're getting still the aftermath of the Craig and Nancy fiasco, and that storyline is the biggest example of why I think Ron's writing would fail on Peacock, because that could have been an edgy, well-told story, but it was played for a joke, ruined characters, and they're still kind of ruining Nancy with putting her with Clyde. I was intrigued at first, but I don't like it. He just writes everything too unserious for me. And then with the writing of all of the villains getting out of prison, coinciding with the fact of Lucas pleading guilty so he can do some time, doesn't sit right with me either, because everyone knows I like the character of Lucas. I hate that they've really written that character so badly this year. But then to compare all of these really nasty villains getting out of prison as a fucking joke to Lucas now having to possibly go to prison, it's all too much of a joke to me. It's still really bad writing. Just more examples of Ron's bad writing. None of the villain stuff has intrigued me. I'm sorry. Bringing Stefan back to life by killing off Jake, whatever. It just shows the bad decisions the show has made a lot of lately, is they should have just brought Stefan back in the first place. Why even bring in Jake if you're just going to have to kill him off to bring back Stefan? It's too much. They just continue to get a lot of things wrong with the writing, and I'm sick of it. And then they're kind of been setting up Leo versus Gwen, who really killed Abby in the Who Killed Abby storyline. And the worst part about this story is, to me, is I don't care. They killed off a legacy character. They want to do a whodunit, but they've done so poorly that I don't care who killed Abby, because the story's not being told well, and worst of all, it had the worst build of any legacy character's death that I can remember any time as of late. Robert Scott Wilson's now playing Alex. They've kind of made him this like skeevy creeper guy with Chanel and Allie, which I haven't enjoyed watching. It's weird. And they seem to want to pair him with Stephanie. They brought back Stephanie Johnson. We saw her on Beyond Salem. I mean, I'll give it a chance, but so far I'm not feeling it. But we'll see where it goes. They've moved Jada and Eric along quickly. They've already slept together, which I don't hate. You know, at least Days, unlike a lot of these soap operas, General Hospital, at least has some sex and romance. It's good to see sex and romance still on soap operas, because you won't see it on General Hospital unless it's something skeevy. But to me, the Jada and Eric moving too fast probably doesn't speak well for the coupling going forward. They're still kind of teasing Nicole and Eric, a couple that I'm over, frankly. I am over Eric Cole. I rooted for them hardcore once upon a time, but the character of Daniel Jonas ruined that anyway, long-ass time ago. So after all these years to still pretend like Eric and Nicole still have it, they don't. They don't have it anymore. Sorry, Eric Cole fans. So yeah, Days' biggest problem is that the writing isn't good. And I think that's the bad thing with it limping onto Peacock. The writing, the state of the show right now is still kind of a mess. There's a lot of new couples, none of which we're really that invested in. They've ruined a lot of characters with the writing. The writing has just got to get better. It's the same thing for Young and the Restless like it is for Days. I've been doing these rankings for almost a year now, and the biggest concerns are always the writing, but the shows don't seem to want to make any changes. And that's just sad to me, because I really do feel like Days going to Peacock really could be a new beginning. It really could be the thing that kind of saves American soap operas, because you can make them edgier shows with better writing. This is the chance to do that. But Days doesn't have the talent for that right now with Ron and a lot of the writers that it has. The script writing on Days is great compared to a lot of the American soap operas. But the people at the top, it's not working. And that is my biggest fear for Days as it moves to Peacock starting in September. As for August, Days still scraping the bottom of the barrel, 9th place. And something I haven't even touched upon, the worst offense, similar to why Young and the Restless is in last place, is Days has been very boring the past couple of months. So, you know, it moved on from some of its worst stories like The Possession and like Sarah's story. But the writing hasn't really improved that much because most of the stories are still poorly written. And just to make matters worse, though, they're also boring.